Hey everyone, it's Lindsay, and I'm here today to share with you some really easy classroom treats and tags for this Christmas. So I am starting off in Photoshop Elements. I'm opening up a new project panel that measures 3 inches by 3 inches, and I am bringing in the coal bag from the Naughty or Nice digital stamp set from Craftin Desert Divas. Now I'm going to scale this down just a little bit, and I'm putting it right in the center of this 3 by 3 panel. Now I'm going to be using the text tool to add in my sentiment, and these are going to be for my son's classroom for all his little classmates. So I'm going to go ahead and type Merry Christmas. I want to go down to the arc tool and add a bit of an arch to this as well. So I went about to 55 mark, hit OK, and then I'll just move this down to where it's kind of on top of the coal bag. So underneath, I'm going to type from Brennan, which is my son's name, and I want to add an arc to this as well, going the opposite way, so I will do a negative 55 at this point. I went to the 55 mark above, so I want to keep it the same on the bottom. I'm just going to go to the negative 55. Once I'm happy with that, I'll hit my green arrow, and then I'm just going to mess around with the placement just a bit to where I feel like everything's centered and nice and even, and I've got a good space between the top sentiment and the bottom sentiment as well. So I want everything just right. Once I'm happy with that, I'll go over to my background layer, right click on it, and flatten my panel. Now I don't want to print these all just one at a time, so I'm opening up a new panel that is 8.5 inches by 11 inches, which is the standard size of US paper and the size of cardstock I'll be printing on. Now I just need to go to my photo bin at the bottom, find my little tag that I made, and I just need to click and drag and drop right on to that 8.5 by 11 inch panel that I have now. Now I can go over to the right hand side on the layers tab and duplicate that layer, and then I just need to pull it over to the right hand side. Then I can duplicate those two layers together, pull those down, and then I only need to duplicate one more time because I can fit about 6 of these tags on one sheet of paper. And this is a great way to just combine all your tags into one print off. I'll need to make about 25 of these roughly. So I get 6 out of 1 print off. That's a whole lot better than just one at a time. Now, in order to move 2 of these at the same time, all you need to do is click on one, hold your control key down, and then click on the other one. That will temporarily link your layers together. Then you can move these and rearrange these as you need to. Now I just need to go over to the background layer, flatten my tags, and then I will go ahead and save this to print off later on, and I will use my laser printer to print this off. Now, if you have a child that's in a huge class and you don't want to go and color these all in by hand, I totally understand that. Even if you have a few kids, you don't want to color them in by hand, you can use your paint tool on the left hand side there and use your different colors and just color this in very quickly and do the same method and print this off in color. So then all you need to do is cut these out and your tag is ready to go. You don't need to mess anymore with them. You don't need to color them in. I don't mind the coloring. I'll sit in front of the movie and just color them in one night, all in one go, and that doesn't bother me. I actually like it. So, but if this is more your style and you just want to print off in color, by all means, that is totally doable. So I went ahead and made these 3 inches because I knew I wanted to use this 3-inch circle and just cut these out. I'm also using about a 3.5 inch circle, or maybe 3.25 inch circle, a couple of sizes bigger than the one I'm using to cut out the tag that I'll be using to cut some red cardstock to back up these tags. So I split my tags right down the middle when they printed off, and then I'm just going to line up this circle on my Big Shot and around one tag and run this through. I'm using washi tape to hold it down so it doesn't shift on me in the cutting process. And then I'll just do all of the tags at once, cut them all out at once, and then I'm going to move on to cutting out the backing cardstock that I'll be using. And I'm using red. You could use black, you could use green, whatever color you might want to use. I save a little bit of time and double this up, so when I run it through once with my circle die cut, when I pop it out, I'll actually have two, and that just saves me some time and some arm work. So now that I have all of my red backing paper and all of my tags cut out, I'm just going to do some coloring. This is very simple, very quick coloring, and I'm using my alcohol markers. By all means, use whatever coloring medium is the fastest for you, and if you print out in color, you can skip this step entirely. So I'm using two reds for my bag here. I'm just adding a bit of shading, nothing spectacular here, and then I'll use my lightest color again to blend that out. Now for the bow, I'll be using some greens, just two colors again, very little shading. This is very, very simple alcohol marker coloring. Now I'm using a tip-to-tip technique because I didn't want such a light gray, but I also didn't want black coal. So I'm using the tip-to-tip to get that mid-tone color, and then I'll use a gray for the coal letters on the bag. And that finished off the coloring. Now all I needed to do was go ahead and put some double-sided adhesive on the back of this tag, and then I'm going to mount it straight onto that larger red circle. And that's just going to give this a little bit of pop, and it won't be such a plain tag, and it also covers up that bleed through on the back of my tag that I get with my alcohol markers. I also wanted to add a little bit of shine to my bag, so I'm using my Wink Estella clear glitter brush pen. I was just going to put it on the letters, and then I thought, you know what, why not just make the whole bag shiny? So I just put a very quick thin layer over the entire bag. And even a really thin layer of this Wink Estella brush pen gives it a tremendous amount of shine. Now I use my laser printer, so I don't have to worry about this making my ink smear at all. Just be aware of what ink you're using and what coloring medium you're using. You want to make sure that they correspond together so you don't get any smearing. Now most of the time in the video you wouldn't be able to see the shine, but I have my overhead light on so you really get a good look at that sparkle. So for the tag, I'm just using a regular hole punch here, and I'll punch right in the top center of the tag. And then I'm just going to thread some black and white baker's twine through that hole. Now you can use whatever ribbon you might want to use. If you want to use straight red, white, it's really up to you. So once I had that threaded through the top, I'm going to leave this open. I'm not going to tie it onto anything because I'll need to tie it around the treat. But there is a final look at that tag. Now for these treats, all I did was make Rice Krispie treats, but I colored them black with some black food coloring, which you can find at any craft store or a bunch of places online. But instead of pressing my Rice Krispie treats in a pan, I just rolled them up into balls. Now, I tried to put these in glassine bags. That didn't work out so well. They wanted to stick to the sides. So what I found works best is to wrap them in saran wrap. And then I just tied that tag around there very snugly so that no air could get in. And if air hits these for too long, they're just going to get kind of gross. Now this was my test run for these, so I did make these a little small. I plan on tripling my recipe so that I make them a little bit bigger next time. But here's a final look at this project and the tag wrapped up around these. Now you can see my tag is a little big for these certain ones that I made, but luckily I did a test run, so now I know that I need to make them a little bit bigger next time. If you want more information on this project, as well as the supply list, you can head over to the Craftin Desert Divas blog. That's where I'm at today. I will leave that link down in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and happy crafting.